Hello everyone, my name is Christian. Welcome back to my hobby blog. I am very excited today because I'm doing a mid-year freakout tag. So one of the YouTubers that I watch is the Books, Beverages, and Besties with Sherilyn and Tabitha. I really enjoy watching the videos and the discussions are so much fun. And they also have great taste. I believe it's Sherilyn has just finished Farseer trilogy and Tabitha has started it. So that's been really fun to sort of watch and get the reactions. And they did a freakout video, a freakout tag they called it. And in the descriptions it said, tag yourself. So I gladly tagged myself. And now I'm doing this because there's a lot of fun questions on here, like favorite books that I've read this year, most disappointing books I've read, most anticipated releases for this year, newest fictional crush, which is a lot of fun. I think my answer will be one that a lot of people will find funny, but very understandable. But a lot of these questions, I had a lot of fun sort of going through what I've been reading this year and sort of trying to match it to each one. Like, I think the hardest one for me was finding the best sequel that I've read because I didn't want to choose a book 3 or book 4. I wanted to do a book 2. And I haven't really read any this year. I've read a handful, and the one I ended up choosing makes sense. It's one of my favorite novels of all time, so when I get to it, that'll be exciting. But so I'm just going to go down the list of questions. The first one is, what is the best book that you've read this year? And it goes without saying, but I have to choose Gene Wolfe for this. And I had a hard time choosing which book of his because each one is just so complex and full of details and layers and just really cool ideas and monsters as well, creatures. And it also has such a fascinating sort of journey that the character takes because this is the final book of the New Sun, Earth of the New Sun. This is technically book 5. This finishes out Severian's story, and my brain, it gets blown every single book in Book of the New Sun, but I think because of how many answers that I got from this book and how it recontextualized so many events throughout Book of the New Sun that there's no other choice for me when it comes to my favorite book of the year. So that is Earth of the New Sun, book 5 of the cycle series, a lot of people call it. But what is the best sequel that I've read? And I've alluded to this, and I'm gonna have to go with Gene Wolfe again. And it's going to be book 2 of Book of the New Sun, Claw of the Conciliator. I have novels 1 and 2 collected in this edition. But book 2 is, the first time I read it, I did not understand really any of it. The second time I read it, which was in the first few weeks of this year, I believe, I was just blown away every single time. And I was like, Claw of the Conciliator on second read is so much better than on the first read. And I think that's the case with every single Book the New Sun entry. So, Claw of the Conciliator just had the biggest sort of WTF moments for me, and Gene Wolfe is a genius. Reading Book of the New Sun, but especially Claw of the Conciliator, and seeing the ideas that he is exploring, and it's just insane. Like, I need to read the series every single year, and I don't think I will ever have all the answers, even if I live to my 90s reading this every year. Like, Book the New Sun is just amazing. Everyone should read it. But what is my most anticipated read or release for the second half of the year? It's going to have to be Christopher Rocchio's Shadows Upon Time, which is book 7 of Sun Eater. Now, I have not started Sun Eater. Why is this my anticipated release? Because I want to know how it wraps up. I've had my eye on this series for about 2 years now, and he is greatly inspired by Gene Wolfe. I watched his big discussion on book 1 that he was a part of with Philip Chase and Talking Story and Tudor Ramble and a bunch of other great channels. And I really enjoyed listening to him talk, but I don't want to jump into a 7-book series unless I know that the ending is going to wow me. So I want to see sort of how book 7 goes and see what the reception is like. Uh, I'll try to get in contact with some people and be like, hey, do you think the series is for me? But with how much he loves Book the New Sun and how much that inspired his series, I really want to read it. And I think it's going to be really exciting. But I have so many book series to read that I'm sort of just keeping it in a very far back burner. Like, I'm really anticipating it. I'm really excited to see what everyone thinks of the final book. But the next question is, what is my biggest disappointment in this half year? And I'm going to have to say it's Mountain in the Sea. I was really disappointed by that. If you watch my review, I ended up really enjoying the book for what it was, but I couldn't give it anything higher than a 7 out of 10 because it was pitched to me as a first contact story between an octopus civilization and humans, and I thought there was going to be a deep exploration between sort of like a rival mixed with like the Expanse, I guess. I don't know. I wanted more like that, and we got a lot more of just trying to communicate, and I enjoyed it for what it was, but I think it could have been so much more my jam. But at the same time, I feel like that's a little unfair to call it the biggest disappointment because it wasn't what I wanted it to be. So on second thought, I think the biggest disappointment, aside from that, is going to have to be Dragon Keeper by Robin Hobb, which is book 1 of the Rainwild Chronicles, which is series 4, I believe, of the Realm of the Elderlings. And it's a 4-book series, so I feel like the pacing is a little weird. I really only enjoyed about half of the POVs. One especially I thought was great. Stone Wielder also was a great disappointment to me. The last month or two, I've read a lot of books that I was disappointed by. And all 3 of those books, Mountain in the Sea by Ray Naylor, Dragon Keeper by Robin Hobb, and also Stone Wielder by Ian Esselmont. I love the world building of that book, but there really wasn't that much that I really latched onto as a reader. But the next question is, what is the biggest surprise? And that's going to have to be Frank Herbert's God Emperor of Dune. This is book 4 of the Dune Chronicles, I believe is the series title. I just call it the Dune books. But this is a very divisive book among the Dune, I guess, fandom or just readers in general. This is a really weird and horny book. That is the one warning I will give it, but I don't think it's a bad book at all. I actually loved this book. In terms of personal taste, I think this is my favorite book of the series. I think book 1 is just a masterpiece in terms of the scale and the multi-POVs, the world building, everything. This book it just shocked me at how much I really connected with it because it is such an oppressive book to read, going through the POV of Leto II, but I really, really enjoyed this book. I could not put it down. I really loved it, and I'm a little nervous for the next book in the series, which is Heretics of Dune. I'm really nervous about that one because that one has a noticeably lower rating compared to God Emperor of Dune, but God Emperor of Dune is one that I knew I would either love or I would hate it. And I'm so happy I ended up loving it. So that's why it was one of my biggest surprises of this year, is I went in with low expectations, and I was very much rewarded for that. I really enjoyed God Emperor of Dune. But favorite new author. Now, this one should not come as a surprise. It's a debut one or new to me. I'm going to have to choose, and there's a lot of bias in this, but I think it's okay. Philip Chase. He is such a kind person to talk to. I really enjoyed Way of Vidan, which is book 1 of his trilogy. and I reviewed it, and I thought it was just amazing. I really enjoyed sort of the old fantasy meeting the modern fantasy and sort of getting like a blend of that, because there's a lot of portions in the book that reminded me of the vibes of Tad Williams, and I love Tad Williams. I haven't read his books in a very long time, about half a decade, but I really want to reread them. But Way of a Dan, I just really enjoyed, and the author Philip is such a good friend. He's been on the channel a few times. He is really nice. His reviews are so in depth. He is just such a kind person. So it's really hard to sort of choose anybody else, because for the most part this year I've been reading authors that I've been reading. So there's not really any new authors that I've been reading. And Way of a Dan just really blew me out of the park in terms of how well it vibed with what my taste in fantasy was. It had everything. So I really loved the magic system in his books. So I'm really excited to get into book 2. I plan on getting into it soon, but I've been reading a lot of Dune and One Piece. Well, not reading One Piece, but watching it. So my reading has been slower lately, but once I get past Curse of the Mistwraith, book 1 of Wars of Light and Shadow, I do want to get into book 2, which is Prophet of Adan. And I'm really excited for that one because there were a lot of fun sort of teasers for the future. There was a lot of big developments at the end of the book, and I'm really excited to see where it goes. So, newest fictional crush. So this is going to be a funny one for me, but I think God Emperor of Dune really settled this for me, and that I really love the personality of this character, and I love sort of the I just love this character a lot. And it's the character of Duncan Idaho, who is still kicking. He is still around in Dune. I loved him in book 1. I had a big crush on him. He's played by Jason Momoa. So obviously he's very hot. I love Duncan Idaho. I love his loyalty to the Atreides. I love his personality. He is just so fun. I don't know. He's just such a fun character. I don't know if I would be in a relationship with him, because he has some really backward ideals and sort of opinions that he goes into pretty deeply into this book, which makes me not want to date him, but he's definitely a crush. If we were in school together, I would definitely stare at him in class and sort of imagine myself kissing him. So Duncan Idaho is my favorite fictional crush right now, and my newest favorite character is going to have to be Severian from Book of the New Sun. What can I say about him that is not a spoiler, but he is such a fascinating character, and he goes through some really fascinating challenges, and how he gets through them is so interesting. I'm trying not to give any spoilers, because I feel like every time he's on page, something very important and very fascinating happens. And I just really love reading about Severian, even when he is not on page, because I read a few of the short stories which take place between the final book of Book of the New Sun and Earth of the New Sun, which is sort of like the epilogue book. But it's called The Cat and the Map, is the 2 short stories. And they talk about Severian in that one because of what happens at the end of book 4. And it is it's still fun. I have so much fun reading and thinking about Severian. I think he is such a fascinating character. So yeah, I just love Severian. He is. I don't think a day goes by where I don't think about him in some capacity, because the journey that he goes on was so affecting to me. It really affected me, and I really enjoyed reading sort of the world of Earth in this timeline, because technically it is a billion or millions of years ahead of our own time, and it's really fascinating to get Severian and his ideals and how he thinks, because the way humanity is in Book of the New Sun is so different than Earth, from our Earth. And Severian is such a perfect vehicle to explore the world. And that's why I just really love Severian. He is just such a fascinating character. But books that made me cry this year, there's only one choice for this. This book made me bawl my eyes out. I had a really tough time reviewing it, actually, because I started sobbing, and I was not ready to talk about it. And I still have that video unlisted. I have it kind of tucked away. I haven't deleted it. But at this point, I'm sort of just... I feel very cringy when I'm rewatching that review. So I want to sort of re-review this, but even now while I'm talking about it, I'm just still affected. But this book was just... It's the final book of the Fitz and the Fool. Not that series. It's the final book of the Tawny Man trilogy. And the things that happen in this book and sort of the descriptions that we get is so detailed and it's so heartbreaking. And I don't know how to talk about it without crying. So I'm trying to not do that. But this book, oh my god, absolutely made me cry. But books that made me happy. This book, I wouldn't say it's exactly a book, but I'm going to count it as one because this book is one that I have been wanting to read for a very long time as a big fantasy enjoyer and fantasy fan. And this is sort of where it all began in terms of what Tolkien was setting up in Lord of the Rings. This is sort of where it began and where Tolkien got his ideas or inspiration from, and that is Beowulf. I really enjoyed reading this. I have the translated by Tom Shippey because Philip had done an interview with Tom Shippey, and I really, really enjoyed it. It was so much fun to get his explanations on how he translated the work. And it also provides you with a lot of behind-the-scenes context and commentary. And it just made me happy. It was just such a nice day reading through this. I think it took me 2 days to read it. But one full day was just for Beowulf. And the next day, I think I read the commentary and sort of the historical context. And it just blew my mind. It just made me so happy. And I'm a big fan of the movie as well from the 2000s that has Angelina Jolie, and I really need to rewatch that because I remember really loving it, and we don't really have any great fantasy movies like that, so I definitely need to rewatch Beowulf. I think that would be so much fun. But I think I skipped a question. New release you haven't read yet. So this is the one I accidentally skipped, but this is the book that I I think I pre-ordered it late last year. This is technically not new. It came out in August last year, so it's new to me. It's new enough. It's within the year, so I hope no one comes at me for that. But I have James S.A. Corey's Mercy of the Gods. I love The Expanse. I've reviewed most of the books on my channel, if not all of them. Except for the final trilogy. I still haven't read them. I need to. But I've also done a few TV show discussions. And I need to sort of do like a final one. Because I did finish the TV show finally. And I never did a review of it. I love it, obviously. I'm a big fan of The Expanse. And I'm really excited for this series because it seems like it's a lot more my style. Being a lot more... focus on the alien races than The Expanse was, which was a big disappointment on my part. Still love the series, still love The Expanse, but I was really disappointed that we got no information, nothing, about the aliens or civilization that had created the proto-molecule. So I'm hoping this book is a little bit more my style, and I love it more than The Expanse, but if not, then that's fine. It's a pretty short book. But, the most beautiful book that I bought so far this year. I just got this yesterday, actually. And I got this because I really want to get into the manga. This is not technically a book, but it's, it's a manga volume. So I watched the movie many years ago when I was in college, back in like 2016, and I really loved it, but I've been really sort of thinking about going back and reading the original manga, and I'm talking about Akira by Katsuhiro Otomo. So I love this movie. I love the art designs. I love the cover of it. I love this art style as well. It's very like Nausicaa like, if you're a Studio Ghibli fan like I am. This artwork is just so like, I don't know how to describe it, like sludgy. I don't know. I love the style of this though. I think this is not the color version, but it does look amazing, and this is just volume 1, so this isn't the first or the entire thing. I was hoping to find like all of it in one, but if I remember, but I saw this at my used bookstore actually, and I was like, wow, this looks amazing. And although it was $17, I was kind of like, eh, but I don't know. The more I've been thinking about it since I bought it yesterday, the more I'm like, maybe I should return that and get my money back. Because I do really want like the big deluxe edition that has it all in one. And I think $17 was quite steep for this. But I couldn't resist the artwork. It looked absolutely incredible, pulling it off the shelf, and it's like new. So the MSRP is $25. So I guess I did get it discounted, but I wish it was discounted a little more. But the final question in this tag is, what books do I need to read by the end of the year? So I have a stack. The first one is going to be a Tolkien book, and that's going to be The Silmarillion. I finally found a used copy of this, and I bought it, and I was shocked at how short it was. For some reason, I thought it was this like giant, like as long as Lord of the Rings edition, but I'm very glad to see that it's actually pretty short. So that means that no matter how confusing this is for me, at least I can reread it somewhat quickly. I know Andy Serkis has done the audiobook for this, and I loved his audiobook narration for Lord of the Rings, so I'm very curious how this one is. I know it's very confusing, so I'm not going to do it audiobook for the first read, but maybe after a few reads, I'll stick it into the Andy Serkis narration. But I also really want to get, and this is book 5. Now I'm looking for book 4, but this is going to be Blood and Bone, but also Orb, Scepter, Throne by Ian Elsamont. So I've been going through the Malazan books, and I'm loving it. I was a little disappointed by Stone Wielder, and I haven't been able to find Orb, Scepter, Throne. Now, I don't want to give Amazon money, so I haven't been able to find a good copy of it. This copy was $4 used, so I was very happy to pay that, but I haven't found Orb, Scepter, Throne, and I really want to read that. On Thrift Books, it's like $25, and that's not worth it to me. I'll just wait. I hope I don't have to wait too long. If anyone has an extra copy and wants to send it, I'll even pay shipping. Obviously, I don't have a post box yet, so maybe I need to set that up first before I start giving my addresses out. But if you have a copy of this, I would love to buy it off of you, or just borrow it so I can read it. But I also really want to get into the Carcanis trilogy, so Forge of Darkness by Steven Erikson, book 1 of the Carcanis. This takes place thousands of years, maybe millions of years before Malazan Book of the Fallen. I'm trying not to say Book of the New Sun, but I really love Steven Erikson's writing, and I also really love the world that Steven Erikson and Ian Essamont made together. So I really want to get more info. The more time I spend in the world of Malazan, the happier I am. And lastly, this is a trilogy that I really want to get to before the end of the year. But it's going to be John Gwynne's Bloodsworn trilogy. I have all 3 books here. Shadow of the Gods, Hunger of the Gods, and Fury of the Gods. I just bought this new end of last year, like November, I believe. whenever the third book came out. And I have been really wanting to read it, but I've been trying to get through some of the series that I'm sort of ongoing with. And I don't know, I need to prioritize it. It looks awesome. Yeah. I've heard nothing but awesome things about it. I don't think I've seen a single negative review on it on YouTube. So I'm very curious to see what I think of it. But thank you all so much, and thank you, Books, Beverages, and Besties, for letting me copy the tag. I really enjoy doing this and getting it ready. Please go follow them if you haven't already. Check out the videos. And thank you all so much for watching, and please have a great rest of the day.